Greetings, heroes. My name is Medivus, and today we're gonna take a short look at New World, and I will tell you why I think that this game is indeed an early access title. Firstly, as you can see, if I press K here, down here, I'm level 60, so I reached maximum level. And I have tried some weapons, not all of them in here, because I have played the beta and spent quite some time in that one. So no point in really, redoing all of it. My trade skills are fairly high. And as a sort of note that I want to give is, I want to love this game. So since release, I played a little bit over 200 hours. And I haven't touched it the last few days, though. Just for an attempt to record this before, and, no again. So I want to love the game, but it's not done. It's like a pretty good meal, and it's like a pretty good meal, but something's off. And we're gonna go about that a little bit. First things first that I want to show you here is one of the bigger problems outside of bugs. I won't even go over bugs because there are so many and they change every day. So this town board or town project board is a big part of the leveling process. In fact, I did the last 50 levels just with these town boards because these quests here give a hell of a lot more experience than any other quests, and they are instant, so that's really nice. As you can see, only one of the 4 brackets is filled. This happens either if the company is broke, so the people who own that village, who conquered it, awarded, if they don't have enough gold because they spend the tax money on something else, or because they just don't wanna, maybe they're inactive or anything like that, then suddenly all players have fewer quests they can use to level. And this can be a huge problem. Because if you look on the map, you have little side quests here. Your main quests are usually level gated, and sooner or later, I'm still stuck on level 40, that's over here, because you get these dungeon breaks, and then you need a team for the dungeon, but there are other problems with that I will get to in a sec. So you will do side quests and faction quests, but faction quests don't really give XP, or gold for that matter. And the only real way to level a little bit faster, and trust me, after level 30 it takes forever, is to do these town project board quests. But in nearly no town you have more than the 3 basic ones, because the guilds are not starting new ones. Part of that reason is that guilds can have multiple cities or areas. If you look on the map, you can see New Aurora, that's this sign here, they have a lot of areas on our server. So their taxes and upkeep and all that stuff for all these areas doesn't balance out. And now that they mostly reach max level and don't have that many side quests anymore, they don't have the gold to actually pay for everything. Same with these guys, the yellow faction just completely screwed up. So what happens if you can't do those quests? Well, mostly nothing gets upgraded, and as you can see, a lot of crafting stations here are very low. They're tier 2, which is almost the default, I think. And then, yeah, the other ones are not that much higher. You have 2 on level 4 here, but for example, for level 60 gear, you need tier 5 stations. Now, if we go through all the cities here and click around, we can see there are no tier 5 stations anywhere. Here's one, but for outfitting, you will need a loom tier 5. So if we can't find a tier 5 loom, the outfitting station doesn't do anything for us either. Not here. Here we have a kitchen. That one's actually sort of useful. Yep, nope, here. And not here either. So on the entire server, you can't build max level gear. Sounds kind of like a tiny problem. Because in the end game, you have dungeons which need this stone cutting table tier 5. You have your crafting, which needs all sorts of stations tier 5. And you have faction gear, but that's sort of like the lower end, so you don't really want to waste time on farming that. So, because it's all player driven, it's really easy to completely remove the little end game there is. There are also wars, but those only happen every few days. There are these invasions, but there are not nearly enough players on most servers to actually win those. Like, you have a few max level people here and there, but it's not really great. You can sign up for those. They give you a few rewards, a little bit gold. Same for the teleport juice, as I call it, the Atsoth. It's very limited. Wait, we can see it here, down here. You'll basically get it from main quests, and you get it from those bigger events. There are also these smaller invasions. I can actually run north and show you one. Those will also give you Atsoth and a little bit of gear and like that, but again, they are usually meant for groups. So unless you're severely higher than them, doing them solo will be very tricky. Or if your gear is very underleveled, like my gear is level 40 because there are no crafting benches, then you're gonna be kinda boned. Yeah, the bugs I already mentioned, like there are $1,050,000,000 every time they fix one, they patch in a new one somehow. I don't even want to argue about that. Maybe it's because it's a new studio and they're not that experienced. Maybe it's because they didn't give a fuck. Maybe it's because they got rushed, which is the overall feeling. That's why I said it's an early access title. It has a decent foundation, and even on the lowest graphic settings, you can see it looks pretty gorgeous. But the game design decisions are sort of mixed. Before I do that invasion there, I want to show you an example. If you do mining and tracking and skinning, the other professions too, but those especially, you get pretty decent XP. So level 40, every second wolf will give you like 1,000 XP extra, which is very good because the quest itself usually gives at most 3,000. So getting 1,000 extra for just killing 2 mobs, that's great. But once you reach maximum level in the profession, it stops giving any XP, which is a very weird problem in the sandbox design of this game, because you can play your way until the game decides you had enough fun with that, and then suddenly mining and tracking and the other jobs as well, if they reach maximum skill, you don't get shit for them anymore, which is very sad. I think that was a huge fail. The map also gives you a feeling of early access because you can see the extra areas, and they have been data mined, so they're already there. You just can't enter them, but we can also sort of see them. I know that's probably a DLC tease, but it overall feels very, very, well, I want to say early access, like, you know. Actually, when I played the betas, I was sure this would be in the full game, because that's how it looks. You get the little tease of, oh, there's a little road, it goes into the fog of war, what could be there? But nope, those areas don't exist. So, you don't really have endgame. Level 1 to 30 are pretty fun because you explore a lot of stuff. Then after level 30, the leveling goes a lot slower. Let's do the group, those are easy. The areas become a lot wider, so there's even more running involved before you get anything really. And yeah, it just takes forever. You are sort of forced into certain directions. Like in a sandbox game, I would personally expect that I can do a dungeon on my own. It might be very difficult, it might be necessary to have certain gear or anything like that, but I would still hope or think that it's possible. But it isn't, because all dungeons have a forced mechanic of you can only enter with 3 people, and even if somebody got you in, there are parts in those dungeons where you need 3 people to actually activate them. Which, not a good sandbox design, so the game overall has an identity that is very confused. It's sort of in the middle ground between where it's a sandbox game and where it's like a full theme park game, or maybe even a full PvP game, because some parts, they obviously, you know, are PvP driven, like the territories and the wars that you have. Those are basically 40v40 battlegrounds. But on those battlegrounds as well, you have huge problems you didn't have in the beta, that just appeared after release? I don't know. And the last beta already had a few of those weapons that are now problem makers. So I don't really get what's going on there. Yeah, the economy is dead, as I said. Late game, you don't have any consistent quests, so you don't really have any gold income. So nobody buys stuff anymore. And then everybody on the server sort of slowly goes broke. Which you can also feel in the player base. Even my friends who are all really hyped, me included, suddenly now only 2 of them, me every few days and 1 like every other day, play a little bit. The rest was on like 4 or 5 days. It's just that something's off. For example, what gave me the final thing, besides there not being any crafting stations for me to do things, were that you have these tools. Wait, 1 second, I'm gonna show you. Open your inventory, you character. You have these tools and they have a percentage. As you can see, 643 for this X. But the better ones are not faster. In the early tiers, yes. When you go from flint to iron, you feel a difference. Iron to steel, you feel a minor difference. But steel to star metal and then star metal to orichalcum, you don't feel any improvement. And that is really weird because star metal, for example, the X I had before, had around 290%. And this new one has 640, and yet it is the exact same speed logging trees. So something's wrong there. I'm not sure if it's a bug or if it's like really flawed game design again. And that's what goes through the entire game, right? There's no balance, there are all these bugs, the game design decisions are completely wrong because you can actually dead end a server, which we sort of have in this case, because there's not enough tier 5. Oh, look and see. We just got the workshop up. That's nice. So engineers could actually do something. Sucks if you need a forge, I guess. And we still don't have a tier 5 smelter, so no orichalcum for you, which is the highest normal metal. There are more unique ones. And that, for example, I love. They are really rare crafting resources. There are quests that give you specific weapons you can find and all that stuff. And the pretty beautiful world, if you go further back, the areas will also sort of loosen up. So this area is a lot more Pirates of the Caribbean. This area is a swampy, like, ghost area. This one is full of dryads and plant people, and this one to the left has a lot of infected ones, or not sure if what they're called, like people that got taken over. So the game has a lot of good starting points, and if you like the sort of run in a circle for 2 hours and farm hemp, for example, then you might actually like it. But there's so many problems that I would say this game needs another 6 to 48 months in the oven. Yes, I know 48 is a long time, but MMOs are hard to develop, and some of the problems and bugs that have been shown lately are clearly deeper problems, like verification being client-side, and that's something you can't just fix overnight. That's something where you have to recode entire parts of the netcode or everything altogether if you even want to fix it or can fix it. But without that, I don't think they will really fix the performance in the PvP, and you know, we will have to see. For now, I would say, sorry, voice break. For now, I would say, don't buy it unless you like really grindy games that don't really have an end game. And maybe if you have a few friends to play together with, give it a chance, but probably better to wait for a sale or to buy it in a Game Pass or Twitch Prime or something. I'm sure it will end there sooner or later. Thank you for listening. I hope this wasn't too long. If you liked it, then please leave a like and subscribe and come back for more. I will do some normal Let's Plays and I will do stuff like this. And also some deeper topics, but we'll get into those when it's time. Until then, as always, keep on adventuring. Bye bye.